Well, howdy, friends. Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters and the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools. And look who's here today in the studio. It's none other than Tightlinevideo himself, Tim Flagler.
Good to be here, Brian.
You're not going to believe this, but earlier today, I was doing some trout fishing about an hour south of Columbus, Ohio. I'm all rigged up, locked and loaded. I was heading to the stream, and I hear the door on the bathroom open, and out walks Tim Flagler. I mean, what are the chances that you're...
What are the odds?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
And so we talked him into hanging out with us all day, fishing. We brought him back to the studio. We fed him. His wife, Joan, is now doing some shopping at Mad River Outfitters. So this whole time, he thought he was going to be fishing by his lonesome, and we kidnapped him for the day.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, Tim, welcome back.
It's good to be back here, Brian.
Yeah.
Fun day of fishing, too. I got to say, that was a blast.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did some really cool stuff, which we're going to be talking about in some other episodes. We filmed a lot today, and we wanted to come back to the studio and, of course, feature some fly tying stuff. One of the topics of conversation amongst you and I most recently, and then of course today, has been traditional wet flies.
Yeah.
And I caught my first trout. In fact, go ahead and hand me that book if you would. There, Deb. Sorry. But this is the book. The Family Circle's Guide to Trout Flies.
Incredible.
And how to tie them.
I've never seen one in the flesh. Everybody talks about it, but...
Yep. And if you look through, you've got the drawings.
Wow, and nice drawings,
too. Very nice drawings, yes. And so I've often joked around that this was kind of like almost like a Playboy magazine to me when I was growing up.
Your high school years were rough.
Yeah, it was pretty boring. Well, I was really into fishing and really into trout fishing. And I remember tying a bunch of these when I was a kid. And the first, especially the wet flies, for some reason I was always intrigued by
they're gorgeous.
The wet flies.
Who wouldn't be?
And the names. And I caught my first trout at a place called Bennett Springs in Missouri, in southern Missouri, on a traditional wet fly.
Is that one of the trout parks?
Mm-hmm, it is.
Parks,
yep, yeah. Yep. And my family has a long history there at Bennett Springs. And then when I first started tying flies, these were the flies that I got into. I mean, but look at some of these, like, of course, some of the traditional streamers, the bucktails. They go through the materials, but look at some of the nymphs.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, they're using materials to tie those, but those look like some of those plastic.
Yeah, that Helgermite really looks
lures that you used to buy. This is a really neat book, and I'm so glad that I've been able to keep this over the years and refer back to it from time to time. In fact, I've kind of been on a wet fly binge. I've been fishing wet flies. I've been tying wet flies like crazy. We took a look at my box earlier today. We'll do that again. So I told you on the phone, I said, well, let's do wet flies. Let's tie a couple wet flies, show our folks, let's fish some wet flies, which we did today, and we both caught a fish before the rain came in. So anyways, you mentioned that a mutual friend of ours, a guy by the name of Davy Wotton, Davy showed you how to tie this fly that you're about to show us.
Yeah. Ready for the story?
I'm ready for the story.
Okay, he really didn't show me, but what happened was for the 2024 Sowbug Roundup, I found out a couple months prior to that they wanted me to do a tie-off with Davy Wotton. Mm-hmm. When I found out that I was doing a tie-off against Davy Wotton, normally, you get together and you decide on a fly that would be mutually acceptable for both of you, something you're comfortable tying.
Right.
And I got an email from Mr. Wotton, and he had a fly, a Welsh March Brown, kind of his signature pattern as the pattern we were going to tie, and a list of materials that we were going to tie it with. And so, okay, I guess we're tying a Welsh March Brown. Anyway, and my wife Joan will attest, I stressed for the next 4 months until the tie. And I don't know how many of these guys I tied. I still don't have it down. It's a gorgeous fly. I've fished it successfully since then, but I've got just a thread body, gold tinsel rib, a tail, which I think many would consider pretty long. It's about a hook in length, and this is bronze mallard. Only like 3 or 4 strands of bronze mallard, and beautiful, beautiful stuff.
What size hook are you using there?
This is a big. This was what we were supposed to tie it on, a size 10, and this is a nymph wet fly hook from Wapsie, a lightning strike.
What's the shank length on it? It's a 1x long.
1x long, okay. Yeah, and 2x heavy. So real nice, nice hook for nymphs and wet flies. And just natural hare's mask, light hare's mask for the body of the fly.
And this is that an oval tinsel?
No, that's a flat tinsel from Lagerton, flat metallic small.
Small. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful tinsel, really. And it's real metallic tinsel. And so just a little hare's mask. This is not really a complicated fly until pretty much the very last step. And then it goes... Yeah. And I'm still, even after, I've tied dozens and dozens of these guys, and I get about maybe 60% where I'm happy with the wing set on them. And I think that's the case with a lot of people for these traditional wets that had slip wings, whether mallard slip, or in this case slip. In this case, it's going to be hen pheasant, and just kind of getting the materials can be a little bit problematic. Getting the right materials in.
Mm-hmm.
So little body, kind of svelte, and I'm gonna just wind a rib up here. As you know, it's got to be 5 turns, or trout won't take it. Kidding, of course. This is a fairly long body, so we get an extra turn in there. Again, not a difficult fly. I mean, beginning tire can tie it up to this point.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so far it's just...
Yeah, it's a piece of cake.
We talked about that earlier today, that your recipe for these flies is a tail, a body, oftentimes a rib, some sort of beard or legs.
Right.
And then a wing.
A wing.
Of some sort.
And the wing is generally the killer. And
good thing they save it for last.
Yeah. So you get the whole fly done, you're really happy with it, and then you ruin it in the last step. Or some people do. Anyway, what I'm going to do, this is Hungarian partridge, and just a nice, well-marked feather. Love the markings on some of the Hungarian partridge feathers. Not the ones you'd traditionally use, the little light ones down in here, but more these guys with the kind of March Brown markings on them up there.
Yeah, for a lot of my wet flies, I am using quite a bit of partridge, and those are mostly the feathers that I'm using.
That you're using, rather than those traditional soft tackle, lower.
Right.
Again, most of the time anyway, this is not too bad.
So that's a trick that that we've taught on our YouTube channel before, that Davy showed to me many years ago, is making that little triangle and grabbing it by the tip.
Yep. Yeah, little, I call it a tie-in anchor. Whether that's correct or incorrect, I don't really know.
That's a good way to put it.
And then just get that stem anchored and snip off the excess. Now, during the tie-off, and I will tell you guys that we had the audience vote, and they kindly called it a draw, but I'm pretty sure that Davy won handily. But anyway, we ended up tying this part, or particularly the prep of the wing, very, very differently. And he's tied so many more of these than I have, but this is my method. And what I'm using, these are matching hen pheasant wings, and we don't really want to use, actually they go more like this, don't want to use the primary feathers out here. You can really see them on this example, these real pointy guys. That's not the ones, you want to use the secondaries. The feathers, I've taken these out. They're back a little bit further. And here are the two of them. See the rounded points, more rounded points? And I'm using the leading edge, the shorter leading edge of the feathers, not the trailing edge.
Okay.
And Davy was able to just like pluck the exact right amount off the feather. I can't do that. I just have not tied enough of these. And so my trick is I use a double-edged razor blade, and on each feather I'm going to go in, and I know kind of a mark on the razor blade where I want to go to. And so you do it on this one, and then the matching one on the other side, and I'll try to cut in to that exact same length. It's a little indent on the razor blade. So something like that.
That is slick.
Yeah, and I'm a little off, but I'm going to go with it.
Did you come up with that?
I don't really know.
Well,
that's one of those things
I've always used my scissor points.
Yeah, people use scissor points. I am going to strip a couple off that one just to get it a little bit more even. And you just have to be very, very careful with this stuff. Like I said, he's tied so many of the things. He just like rips it off the stem. They're the exact width. And so my other trick is, rather than really handling these things, you can orient the wings in very different ways. I'm going to orient them so they go like this. There are two different ways of doing it. Let me make sure I have the correct orientation. I know this is probably hard to see, but I have a little rubber pad here, and I use my bodkin and to align the tips, and then I can pick up both of them in my fingers.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it really helps.
That's good.
If I was really good at tying these, I wouldn't need to do that. But and the other one, and I did learn this from Mr. Wotton, is if you hold the slips in your fingers like this is very uneven down here. If you hold like this, that's much more symmetrical, and it's much, much easier to get a good alignment. Now I'm going to go just about halfway down the tail with the tips, grip there, and I go over the top, get back under, and I think like you, Brian, I pull straight up.
Straight up, yeah.
And keep that pinch if I can. Very hard sometimes to get it to work back around. Keep pinching. Work my thread backwards, rearwards. And I got lucky on that one, I think. That one's pretty well centered on top. You do want them to stay centered. They have a tendency to spin if you don't keep it centered. And then it's just, you don't want to wrap too much. And I'm going to take my tying scissors and just slip them in and snip that off as close as I possibly can. Like so. Take a few more wraps. And as with any fly, you don't want to build up too big of a head. Whether we like it or not, as fly tiers, we're judged on the quality of the head of the fly.
Yes.
It's the first thing the critical eyes will look at. And one of the other tricks that I learned from another Davy, not Wotton, but McPhail, is to use the Vineyard's tying wax. And I don't know whether you use this or not, but
yes,
it's like giving your thread four-wheel drive. And so I can put the Vineyards on there and grip the wing again and just as soon as I'm done covering up any little things that stick out, I get right back to the base of the wing, stop there. Don't take any more wraps. Don't resist that urge to take more wraps. And then I'll go straight into my whip finish. Give my bobbin a little counterclockwise spin so it doesn't knot up so bad. And then I just go from back to front, right up to behind the hook eye. Seat the knot really well. Just like any knot, it has to be seated. And that one's...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's within that range. I like the wing that length and pretty much right down the center of the...
Did you mean to split the tail like that?
The tail will split like that. Yeah, I didn't mean to. It just sort of happens. And then a nice drop of head cement. Ooh, that was a googe. That'll be okay. There we go. And that's it. That's a Welsh March Brown. It fishes really well. You know, it's a great looking fly. As the case with a lot of these flies, though, you know, you fish it just even a couple casts and that wing wants to separate on you. It looks like a cat got it. But boy, you talk about a great pattern. All those natural markings just built in. They really are gorgeous flies to not only look at, but they're a ton of fun to fish.
They're fun to tie, they're fun to fish, and they are beautiful. And you get that thing in the water today. I had a couple of flies that I've been playing around with that I got in the water today that I had not fished before, and one was this one, which is a really, really archaic wet fly. But I just thought it looked cool.
Yeah,
I thought it had a neat silhouette, and the way it was swimming on the poly leader that I was fishing today. You'd be surprised.
Is that the one you caught the first fish on? Wow.
Yep. And so I was fishing just this fly, and I was so excited to fish it because I just liked how it looked, and it reminds me of something that I've seen somewhere before. And we'll definitely here on the channel, I'm going to go through especially some of the ones that I've kind of tweaked a little bit and tie them here on the channel. But thank you for doing that. I am going I am going to do that one for sure. I've done a couple of March Browns. Mine is not as pretty. And you look at my wings. Well, that's a horrible example. That one's going to twist. That one's not great. It's not horrible.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's a little twisted.
Yeah.
But I think it'll still fish.
It's got those markings in it, you know, that just looks so natural. Everything living has markings like that, you know, whether it's a bait fish or a mayfly nymph. And so if we can build that into our flies, I think so much the better.
Well, there's no question. I mean, Davy Wotton is one of the, in my estimation, maybe one of the best fly tiers of all time.
And I don't know him that well. I've met him a few times. I got to chat with him, and his depth of fly fishing knowledge, you know, beyond tying, just fishing and guiding is.
You know, I was fishing with him one time on the White River. And if I'm not mistaken, he had what he referred to as a brace of flies. And he would put different flies in different positions to get different responses from the fish.
Yeah. Oh, it is next level stuff.
It's next level. Yeah. He's superhuman. I mean, I will never live long enough to be that good and to be that smart, and could not spend that many hours on the water to figure that stuff out. But he's got it figured out, and that was a long time ago. I mean, that was 20 plus years ago on the White River down in Arkansas. Well, he's done a lot, I think, and I think he's one of the unsung heroes.
Yeah, he really is. He doesn't promote.
No.
You know,
there was a day when, you remember when he and Marcos, they had a little company based out of Chicago.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and they had the Davy Wotton signature dubbings.
Okay, yeah, they're still around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wopsy
carries.
Wopsy carries them. Anyhow, I mean, Davy's and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's an okay banjo player.
I've heard that.
Well, Tim, thanks as always. Appreciate it. And I'm so glad you played along with this whole wet fly kick that I'm on. We certainly had fun fishing them today.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a hoot.
Well, as I told you, Brian, I really think that, you know, a fish caught on the swing, one fish counts to 10 caught on a nymph. I love swinging flies, particularly old style wet flies like this. It's just so much fun. I
agree. And the one fish that I did catch, like I said before the rain kicked in, it was just a really solid grab.
Yeah.
And then of course you can fish almost any rod with this. It just so happened we were fishing 3-weight and 4-weight, and it just and fishing those light rods, man, you just really feel that
that grab.
Yeah, you feel the grab and clicking Paul reel, man. So much fun. It's really brought me back to my days of my childhood, and I'm going to continue tying wet flies and having fun with it. So, all right, my friend. Thanks,
Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks as always.
Great seeing you. Great fishing with you.
Love having you here in the studio. So there you have it, friends. Tim Flagler. You can check him out at Tightlinevideo.com.
Yep.
And the YouTube channel is Tightlinevideo also.
Yes, it is.
And of course, you've all heard Tim on many Orvis videos and podcasts and many others. So so check him out for sure. A lot to share in the world of fly tying, and certainly one of the most recognized and notorious fly tyers in the business today. So thanks as always for being here, friends. If you ever have any questions about this fly, about this video, or any video that you see here on the channel, or fly fishing in general, pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us an email. Customer service is what we do for a living. Fly fishing is just what we love and what we sell. So thanks again to Tim Flagler for being here, his wife Joan for bringing him here, and stay tuned. We've got a lot more fly fishing content coming your way.